Settle down whilst I tell you a little fable is what our Sims are all going through right now. With the introduction of Enchanted by Nature, we did in fact get fables, which are these stories that you can hear, little poems given to us by some of the townies slash NPCs, I guess, of this brand new pack. And today I wanted to make a little guide for those of you who may have picked up this pack, maybe picking this pack up in the future, and want to know about all the fables and all the steps needed to go through those fables. So I guess this is a little walkthrough. I'm going to have timestamps to each of the titles for every single person who will give you a fable, and then also just tell you like the information you need to be able to get the most out of these little stories. Every single neighborhood in the new world of Innisgreen has one of these signposts. Now, it does feel as if since Snowy Escape, I think these were first introduced, they have put these into almost every single pack, more specifically werewolves, Henford-on-Bagley to be exact, and fables are very, very similar to Finchwick favors. They're basically little fetch quests to earn you rewards to kind of introduce you to both the Sims that live in the world and also the like collectibles and stuff. So all you have to do is view this fable board. There are 6 people in total. Asking to hear their fables will be easy. Earning the endings will take some work. Heed their requests and their full story will reveal itself along with fabulous rewards. So we have Spruce Almighty, the Garden Pal, summoned at the Glasswood Tree in Spruceberry Grove. Glen Gnome Enthusiast, who can be found at nhoams in the coast of Admore. Todd Attenberry, vendor, can be found in the market stall at Spruceberry Grove. Zhaleh Amani, the mystical fairy, can be found by the fable board in Everdew, hence where we are, which is actually directly opposite the lounge in Everdew. Joe Trader, found in the fable board in Spruceberry Grove, or the one at Coast of Admore, and Karen, the fairy council liaison, who can be found outside the Mossvale Fairy Hub in Everdew. Considering we are starting off in Everdew, we're gonna try and acquire a fable from Zhaleh. However, hers is actually locked behind the Rise and Shine fable from the gnome enthusiast. So we have to wait to actually partake in the mystical fairies. But just behind the fable board, we have the fairy hub, and this is where you will find Karen. So we will go give a cheeky, friendly introduction. Ooh, Plant Sim, I love your top. Oh my god, and the way it's showing off your hairy chest, you just know how to tease me. To find acquire a fable, sometimes it will just pop up first for you, but you can go to friendly and then stories and then acquire a fable. Any interaction to do with fables, be it delivering after you've almost completed it or whatever it may be, is under friendly and then story. Trust me, I stumbled on that so many times over as I first started playing it. So we can actually only currently do one, which is the stubborn misfortune. The second one is locked behind us completing this. A family who owned everything in the world had not finished grabbing their share, and these Sims, you should know, up in their chateau had money to spend without care. Now Jeffrey thought schools, but dear Nancy thought pools should become their next big endeavor, but they both had such pride and could not decide on just whose idea was more clever. Ask fairies for an item to deliver, and our reward is a starseed teleporter, emotion potion, randomized fruit or seed, and end of fable. Then your fables will actually appear in your career panel. So we have stubborn misfortune, 222 simoleons. I think that's also how much we get from it. Ask a fairy for a freezer bunny foot, and then go and deliver that item to the council liaison, who is of course Karen. Thankfully, luckily we are in Everdew already, so we can just go ask Titania and hopefully she will have one. Again, you could do this if it first pops up, but then you can go friendly and you can go on stories, ask for a freezer bunny foot. Looking for this? I'd be happy to give you what you need for a price. How's 50 simoleons? Luckily we have 6,000 to our name, so we are gonna agree to that, but we got that freezer bunny foot actually in our inventory. It's not offering us any luck at the minute. We would have to use fairy dust to rekindle it, but we're not going to use it for ourselves anyway. We are going to go and deliver this to Care. Unlocked the emotion potion notebook entry and Fable completed. And so Jeffrey got sneaky and Nancy got cheeky. Their plans they both secretly smother. A password reset for the bank account's net was surely to foil the other, but they could not expect the login to get wrecked, and now neither could get any money. So instead of rapport, they're seemingly poor and nobody won, which is funny. A starseed teleporter has been placed in Mavris's household inventory. An emotion potion and a randomized fruit have also been placed. Ooh, we got the UFO fruit. Damn. Okay. That is pretty hard to come by, and we got a focused emotion potion. The starseed teleporter is actually the rock that is over near the tree in Everdew, where you can actually teleport to Sixam, you can go to the 2 secret lots from base game, you can go to the magic realm, so it's pretty OP for your Sims to have their own version of this. They will, however, still need fairy dust to be able to use this. But that, of course, does mean that we can get our second Fable now from Care, considering that has been unlocked. Through mist or through rock, found deep in any cove, a land lived alone and in secret, and any reward that could be discovered, the Sim was allowed to just keep it. Now, this place was made for all of life's creatures, but nobody knew its true worth, except Mother Nature and her nomenclature, I'm assuming to rhyme, which stated it's deep in the earth. So go, my dear friend, figure out what she means and catch your reward if you dare. You can teleport, the travel is short, then find out what's hidden in there. Travel and collect a fish. The reward for this is forbidden fruit, live houseplant, and the end of Fable. Hence why we got ourselves the little starseed teleporter, because we need it for this one. We need to teleport over to Sylvan Glade, which we don't have any fairy dust on us right now, but I'm hoping that we can brush off some fairy dust. Obviously, very much helped if you are a fairy. If you aren't a fairy, then you can actually ask a fairy for some fairy dust and they'll give you 1 pile of it. And also, if any fairy dust has accumulated in any of the fairy houses, specifically around this neighborhood, you can also shake it. Hovering over a fairy house will actually tell you how much fairy dust is currently in it. Shake it and that will appear in your inventory. Sometimes you can also just get lucky and find it on the ground where a fairy has been. Click on those piles and collect all. But we are going to teleport to the Sylvan Glade. And this next step, sometimes really easy. Other times it will take you so long to actually do this. And that is because it is fishing, which pretty much just all comes down to the look of the game, like the look of the draw, depending on what you're gonna get. Catch a tree fish. Whilst in Sylvan Glade, Sims with level 2 fishing skill can catch a tree fish by fishing. So we are gonna attempt to fish. Obviously, this means that we're only currently a level 1 in fishing, but let's see if we can get one of these. Although I feel like it really gives us miscellaneous stuff a lot more when we're feeling good luck, such as a pomegranate, a seed-shaped gemstone, and an emotion potion. There we go. We got ourselves the tree fish, which means oh, it says we don't have a job. It just completed automatically. We didn't even have to deliver that one. A beautiful scene, fairies flutter and flee, but nothing seems like a big deal. I'm sure if you knew, you'd get Mother's clue and maybe that thing would be real. So it's probably better to not know it was the thing you were trying to cash. To Mother its treasure, it brings her great pleasure, though most Sims would deem it was trash. A live houseplant has been placed in the household inventory, and a forbidden fruit has has been placed in our personal inventory. So if we wanted to, well, no, because we're a fairy. If you were a human sim, you would be able to become a plant sim from this. Now, even though the liaison does change sometimes, you know, Karen has to take care of themselves. It's literally in their name. The fables still are linked to the liaison, whoever is working the post that day. And they remain the same too. So stubborn misfortune and then the ground's jewels are the two fables that you will get from the liaison. You can always repeat these, especially if you want more of the rewards. However, if you go to your notebook and then click on Enchanted by Nature, you'll be able to see all of the completed fables that you have done. So of course we have stubborn misfortune. This again, if you just want to read the whole story, then you can here instead of like having to repeat the quest over again. And then we have the ground's jewel. It also tells you how you completed it. Considering we need to do Glen gnomes, let's go over to the coast of Admore. Now I loaded into the gnome exhibit, which is the museum in Coast of Admore. Then if you travel slightly in this direction, so to the northeast, in a little diagonal behind, this is actually Num Nums. This is the shop that Glen Gnome usually runs. Again, this is another sim who can be replaced depending on the day, but they will always give you the fable. And then to the right of that, if you carry on down this road, you do have the Coast of Admore notice board, and here you will find Joe Trader. So we are gonna get fables from both of these two. Glen has two open from the get-go: My Sleeping Giant and Rise and Shine. Rise and shine. Down by a creek alongside a road sat a house like a true short stack. The man who resides was searching for guides to fix his marriage, which was whack. So during the day, he decided to stay and clean up the house, make it shine. But after an hour, he took a long shower and stated the mess should be fine. Then deep in the night, from sparkle or might, the house was made all neat and clean. And when they awoke, that syrupy bloke took credit for scrubbing the scene. Obviously, syrupy bloke marriages kind of on a cliff's edge. Of course, it's about the one and only Robert Pancakes. Talk to Sims and find a fairy ring to use. Reward is end of fable. The fairy ring will decide the additional reward. And then we also have My Sleeping Giant. There once stood a gnome taller than a throne, who lost what once was so dear. Away to his garden, the walls he did harden, secluded, alone, and in fear. The children came quick, for the gnome they had kicked had locked himself far from their feet. But due to the walls, his plants he enthralled had withered and died from no heat. So could such a sim hear a simple man's whim to waken the beast from within? I'll send you along. You won't need a song. Just simply show them compassion. Obtain fairy dust and wake the great gnome. And the reward is a gnome, a reward trait. And end of fable. We are gonna do My Sleeping Giant. Obviously, I have already acquired fairy dust. I have fairy dust in my inventory. I have 5 piles of fairy dust. So I assume if you don't have fairy dust, that is actually gonna be your first task to do. And then the Great Gnome statue is literally just directly opposite Num Nums. So you can go and wake the Great Gnome. Your sim will wander or fly on over here. Look at the little butterfly on his nose. There's also a pigeon. Ooh, he looks angry. The gnome has awoken, but the flames of ancient anger burst forth. There must be something Mavris can do. Soothe the great gnome, which a lot of these are just like interactions. There's not really much mystery to fables. You pretty much have to do exactly what it says on the tin. Huzzah, he wakes. What magic he makes, enchanted and lively our savior. And should you come yell, he might cast a spell to reward you if you're in his favor. His heart you did free, and the gnomes cheer with glee. You've awakened what once was asleep. Now off you go. You have much more to know. The lore of this tale runs so deep. And that leads you to being able to actually appease the great gnome. You can also ask for good luck, read the statue description, and attempt to kick the great gnome, which I don't think you're gonna want to be playing around with that. It completed before we had done it. There we go. The fire has gone out. little halo above their head. We got a little plant though, and of course if we go to our Simology, we have the reward trait, which is now gnome. Sims in the gnome can now receive the great gnome's gifts, a connection most Sims would kick for. If they can appease the gnome's tiny desires, goodies shall be granted. However, the great gnome can be fickle, and the wrong choice may yield an ailing outcome. So obviously you're gonna get an ailment if that goes wrong. For Rise and Shine, we need to ask 8 Sims about their fairy beliefs. I wonder if we can ask Joe Trader. What fairies do you believe in specifically? I mean, you do have fairy wings literally cut into your head. Belief in Peries, ancient winged beings of beauty that can only survive off perfume. How glamorous. Let's head on over to the museum. I think this is where we're gonna find the most people to ask about their beliefs. I kind of wish you could just ask what they believed in instead of having to introduce your sim to every single sim. If you're doing fables, your relationship panel is going to become very, very cluttered very, very quickly. I have actually tried to look up the pronunciation and cannot find it on Google. They live in the liminal zones where water meets land and conduct their business in secret. Belief in the she, they're such royalty, living in castles out of sight, hosting lavish feasts and celebrations. The lack of belief is what makes them so small, but they don't seem to mind. Be careful if you hear one wailing though, okay? Belief in the Fair family. At only 3 feet tall, they can slip through secret passageways in nature. If you're worried about the Crimbles, iron can protect you, or so I'm told. Belief in Moss Maidens. Diligent weavers of moss who understand the healing properties of plants. Belief in the Seelie and Unseelie. The light and the dark. The Seelie were once known to reward helpful Sims, but like all fairies, they can be unpredictable. And the Yumbois, 2 feet tall with silvern hair. They come out to dance in the moonlight. An invite to one of their magnificent feasts would be a milestone for sure. We have one more person to ask. I can't actually find this interaction under stories this time around, so it might be under interests. Or maybe small talk? I couldn't track that, but I just clicked on The Sims a couple of times until it appeared on the first interaction wheel. I believe in dryads. They're forest fairies who protect the woodlands and only reveal themselves when angered. Luckily, you can appease them with offerings. Wait, who does that sound like? Potentially gnomes in The Sims 4? Now that we have found out what everyone believes in, we have to go find the fairy ring over in Spruceberry Grove. Now, the fairy ring is directly located opposite the park in Spruceberry Grove. You'll find it right here on this little mound of land, and you can just go on it. If you go on it without having Rise and Shine, nothing actually happens, whereas if you have already done that, you can claim a fairy belief. Select the fairy ring and choose a belief to claim. The beliefs shown on the ring's pie menu are detailed in the notebook, so you can actually go again on Enchanted by Nature. This is where you'll find all the information that you have in fact just seen. We're gonna go for the perfume one this time around. You do get a different reward depending on who you choose. I haven't chosen every single one of these, so I'm not going to go through all of the rewards. I'll let you find that out. But our fable is complete. This went on for days. He got so much praise. Their marriage has started to mend. But Cake Man was skeptic. This ruse felt so hectic. He needed the mystery to end. He snuck down at nightfall to see fairies so small, zapping his kitchen pristine. So he left them a snack, grilled cheese for the hack, for buttering up his dear queen. Not Bob calling Eliza his queen, little cutie. A mystical fairy. Oh. Okay, so that has actually brought along the mystical fairy that we needed, although I don't know where she has spawned. Currently running on over, and now we can actually acquire a fable from the mystical fairy, because obviously we had to do that previous one to unlock this. Plants lie here. Two gardens sat fine across the yard line of two neighbors who varied in skill. One garden grew tall with crops ready for fall, and the other was withered and ill. Now that neighbor in need did not care to weed and put all of the blame on the other, and the cause of their doubt to the garden's clear drought were pixies that came in to smother. Obtain and deliver an item, aura blossom seed, flower seed packet, and the end of Fable. Harvest some bluebells and deliver the item to the mystical fairy. Ooh, we need to harvest two of them. Grow or find bluebells to harvest. Bluebell seeds are found in the starter flowers seed packets. Okay, so you could just like open them if you wanted to. I know there are some in Everdew. I'm just now scared for them being out of season because I have a feeling they are spring and summer flowers. Also, we're a brand new fairy, so we don't actually even have any of the powers that could help us like bloom these instead of just waiting around for them to grow. I guess we could enchant the plants, which would mean that they would grow at a slightly accelerated rate. I think my game lied to me. They said that they could be found in the starter flowers. I opened up probably like 25 starter flowers and did not find a single one. However, I did open up some spring ones and they were in fact in there. Lol, the reward was literally just a monstera. Not even a pot came with it, so you will probably have to buy your own pot. But it looks cute. For those of you with seasons, these are classed as summer and spring plants. I didn't even need to wait to harvest them. Grow or find bluebells to harvest. It's already ticked off. I just had some in my inventory that I then sold after planting them because I didn't think that was gonna tick off. But let's harvest those all. So you could actually just find them in seed packets. I don't think you actually have to harvest them. Let's go deliver those bluebells. They must have been drawn towards the neighboring lawn after soaking up all of the dust, but no pixies were present at this garden so pleasant, so the neighbor's big lie was a bust. Yet still they denied that their garden had died from their fatal lack of care. All of their hard work was something to shirk, and come winter their pantry was bare. We got aura blossom seed and flower seeds in our inventory. There's the aura blossom and one farmer flowers and fruit seed packet. That is in fact the only fable that she has. Joe Trader has another two fables for you, Against All Odds and Deliver the News, which you can have up to 3 fables at any time going. A freezer so sunny, this cute social bunny was bouncing along in the grass. She took a big hop before needing to stop and peer at a tiny young lass. This chicken was caught in a moment of thought watching Sims try out some composting. I'll bet you a grand if you can withstand competitive social trash posting. The chick said for sure they knew they'd endure, for their beak was good with collision. But to prevent damage, the chicken must manage a slow and steady disposition. Obtain an item, live naturally, and talk to other Sims. We get the supernatural shield elixir and end of Fable. And for Deliver the News, there once was a man built in physique who relished a good love affair. He'd sprinkle his charm wherever he went, and many girls flocked to his care. But a woman in red did not fall for his tricks and left the poor fella on red. So from this rejection to his feigned affection, a plot he concocted was bred. Oh, Don and Bella. Deliver a given item, and you get for that a fairy seedling, fairy dust, and the end of Fable. For Against All Odds, collect a bottled emotion from a moody shrub. Can find all plant and then collect bottled emotion once matured. Everjune is known to have many wild plants. There's like 4. in the area, okay? Let's not get wild. Then bathe in natural water and talk about trading to 3 different sims. We're currently talking to a plant sim, so let's go give a friendly introduction to them. And talk about trading was one of the first things that actually popped up. No notification or anything like that for talking about trading. Talk about trading is under small talk. Now, if you zoom out whilst in Everdew, the moody shrub is really easy to find. It is, in fact, next to the lounge on this little, like, curvy bit. It's this little glowing plant over here just under the tree. So we're gonna collect that bottled emotion from it. We got the focused emotion potion and 2 confident emotion potions. Let's go bathe ourselves in the Moondrop Springs. Bathe in water. Now, this has taken quite a long time, considering we don't have the best natural living skill, and we also got an ailment from that. Love that for us. We got the greeny meanie from having a bad time. I think we actually dislike natural living, so that does make sense, but we completed the first fable for Joe. The bunny was faster, a social postmaster, and Chicky was taking her time. I mean, they're called the social bunny for a reason, but like a true flake, Bunny needed a break, leaving Chicken alone in her prime. Not long and with luck, the chicken had snuck past the bunny's number of submissions, and with her small speed, the post to her feed had won her the contest conditions. The bunny was stunned that the chicken outpunned an expert like her in this race, but the chicken was proud and stated aloud, "Well, isn't the egg on your face?" And we got a supernatural shield. This elixir grants an invisible shield of protection from any negative powers and abilities of vampires, werewolves, spellcasters, and fairies. Oh my! Once the shield has been used, Sims will need to drink another to regain protection. Now, unfortunately for Deliver the News, I did actually have a grilled trees in my inventory, but I think it went off and Mavris actually cleaned it up, so I no longer have one in my inventory. Deliver it to the Mossvale Fairy Hub to complete this fable, and we don't have an option to deliver anything, so I'm gonna go and cook us another grilled cheese. Luckily, it's a level 1, and we're just gonna do a single serving. Do not eat it! You are a fairy! You don't even need to eat things! Put that into your inventory, please, and thank you. And then let's go over to the Mossvale Community Hub and deliver little rabbit hole. They just like fade into nothing. Soon the invite was sent at a view quite pleasant. At the front door rang with a bell. He put on a smile, the one to beguile. His flattery spread like a spell. She sure was distracted by how he had acted. You'd think he'd gotten the hint, but that's all we know, for that innocent bro had stated she'd gone in a glint, and no one could guess that this gothy mistress would go missing like a red gem. Was she abducted and actually conducted? No, Lothario has dawned on them. Don Lothario and the missing Bella Goth. A fairy seedling and fairy dust has been placed in my inventory. They're very measly with their fairy dust, aren't they? Yeah, here you go. Here's 1 pile of fairy dust. Have fun doing anything with that. Lastly, I know we got a little bit distracted from the fables of Spruce Dairy Grove. We kind of got led astray by the others, but I'm going to show you where the notice board is, and obviously where you can find the one and only Todd Attenberry, and also the garden pal Spruce Almighty. So I've once again loaded into the park. You can see the fairy ring, and then this is the bookshop over here. Near the bookshop on this right corner, you will find the Fable board. If you don't find Joe, obviously over in Coast of Admore, he will be hanging around here. He just stands next to the Fable boards. From the park, if you look directly opposite, you will see Todd's little stall over here. It is 2:11, so this honestly shouldn't be closed. Let's go fly over here and see if he spawns in. God, that sounded like a riddle. For some reason, Todd isn't spawning, so let's actually focus directly opposite Todd's soul. We have the glasswood tree in the circle under this tree. Let's go and summon the one and only Spruce Almighty. Maverus has summoned Spruce, everyone's favorite garden pal. Spruce can only be here for so long before they have to return to the tree, but they're happy to help with Sims look, gardening, or just chat. Excuse me, you're here for a limited time. Please do not run away from me. We need to acquire a Fable. No, stop walking. You're just gonna blend in with the grass. Only one from Spruce Almighty. There once was a spirit grown from soil and love who spent their days tending a garden. The garden belonged to a mother of nature who watched over creatures she'd pardon. Now the spirit's first error was insecure terror, and their purpose felt more like a chore. So attempting great power like their beloved flower, they let envy spread like a spore. Glasswood tree, ever due seeds, and end of Fable. We are gonna accept that from you. And then we need to solve the blue mushrooms riddle, red mushrooms riddle, green mushrooms riddle, and yellow mushrooms riddle. Don't be thinking that you have to go look far. The blue one is right near the glasswood tree. The yellow is a little bit further down and away. Directly opposite the yellow, you have the red. The blue mushroom, enchanted, not a natural glow. In day I sleep, at night I show. An eerie hue of ghostly play. Instead of fright, I light the way. So you can choose be right back, and this actually just lets you leave and like to go find the answer if you want to. But let's solve the riddle again. And the only one that I can do, considering I'm not inspired and I also don't have lightning root leaves in my inventory, I can click gnome body loves mushrooms more than me? Question mark, and that will give you the right answer. You physically cannot be wrong, and also you can't not do these mushroom answers, so I wouldn't really call them riddles. Come dance about, it's time to play. Good luck or bad, we're here to stay. A portal to a fairy land, or toadstool spores outward expand. What am I? A fairy home, you need 5 fairy dust to acquire that. A fairy ring, you have to do that by unlocking the nature notebook entry or becoming a fairy. Or you can just say mushrooms. We are gonna do a fairy home. That was super wrong. Wait, you can actually be wrong? Stop, that's so funny. I didn't actually think you could be wrong. Well, let's go for mushrooms. The spirit perused sprouts of imitation but never accomplished pure life. They could not achieve the maiden's prestige. Their projects just ended in strife. Lost in the source, the power they sought was one that could not be discerned. And a fellow, once mellow, went full green from yellow regarding the lover they spurned. Is this song about me? I like how Spruce's Fable literally just directly correlates to their lover's tiff with the one and only Mother Nature. The green is right next to the red. Also, if you just listen on these mushrooms, you notice me. I appreciate the moral support. They will just give you mushroom theme puns. I'm often red with spots about. I'm seen in film to gain some clout. I'm a fun guy, I swear it's true. But if you touch, Grim collects you. What am I? Fly, agaric, or Amantia muscaria? You're such a good sport. And then for the green one, you can actually find the answer, I think maybe by talking to Mother Nature. I definitely read in a notification in early access the like names of said mushroom. A Lawrence chef awarded dish, a forager's ultimate wish, rich but not rare, the landgrabs eat, but to the rags a chocolate sweet. A truffle have more than 5,000 simoleons in the household funds, or a mushroom steak less than 5,000. We are gonna say a truffle. Soon one day enraged by modernity's claim, their gnomes came straight to defend. They descended upon the village town's lawn, seeking justice for their dear friend. A war did break out, and at first it was thought that greenery could be preserved, but this battle they fought would soon be found fraught, as failure was what they deserved. And so from betrayal the maiden did leave, the spirit now all on their own. But with their good deeds, the spirit believes her heart will be theirs once they've grown. Still holding out hope. We got ourselves a glasswood tree. Obviously, we can summon Spruce Almighty to help out with our garden on our home lot now, whenever we want. And Everdew seeds, which we got the lightning root seed and a moody shrub seed. Thank you, Spruce Almighty. What would you do if I just slept around your stall the entire time, Todd? What then? Why is this tree shaking like that? Why is it moving? Where have you two been, eh? I've been waiting here for ages. Friendly stories, acquire a fable. So technically, Todd doesn't have to be working on his stall for you to acquire these. Unlocked by doing the first one. Be kind, unwind. A couple alone sits off in the grass, deep in thought, not a care in the world. They won't need a shelter or toilet or bath. They sleep on the ground all unfurled. This natural lifestyle is one that they've earned, building strength to survive on the knoll. But hey, have you heard of the old urban legend, the one where the worms take control? Craft or use an elixir and then forage and deliver an item. The reward is a lucky liquid, which actually brings your look up by like one stage, and the end of Fable. Used enhanced eyes elixir. Consume the elixir. Sims can trade for this elixir or craft it with level 3 apothecary skill using basil, lemon, and acorn. Now, we don't actually have those items on us. We are going to attempt to trade with Todd themselves. Luckily for us, Todd actually trades emotion potions. So each of these NPCs can also trade items, and each one of them is looking for a specific thing off you in return for what they can give you. And luckily, he needs these. So we're going to give a focused emotion potion over to him, and then we got back 1 enhanced eyes, which obviously now we can drink. We like to drink with Mav because Mav is our mate. And then we need to forage. Let's just go forage here. And I'm fairly sure because of our luck ailment, we probably have a pretty good luck. Deliver foraged apothecary ingredient to Todd. What did we actually manage to forage? I don't think we got an apothecary ingredient, but let's go see if we can still go give him something. Deliver actually isn't on there. Technically, that shouldn't have ticked off because we, like I said, don't have a elixir ingredient. So we're actually gonna need to continue to forage until we do have access to some ingredients, which we can't actually even do the specific forage for apothecary ingredients until we're a level 2 in apothecary. I mean, you could be like me and forage until you are super sweaty and all you get is like a bunch of harvestables and like gnomes and my sims, or we could just go to this apothecary table over here and then we can, I mean, open this up. Oh, I was hoping we could steal one of those, but purchase basic apothecary ingredients. We're gonna get a lump of moss and an aura petal. Both of these are classed as ingredients, and I'm hoping we can go deliver those instead. A little hack for those of you who maybe haven't started working on your apothecary skill and honestly just have luck that is too good. We have ordinary luck, which is wild. See foraging, sleeping, a pond, bath or two. Could be any entry to danger. You start out all normal, but after some time, your system is filled with this stranger. Once stuffed to the brim with these wiggly friends, a sim will start to transform. Their body composed both inside and out of worms will be their new norm. And should this occur, it's best to be kind, reassure, compliment, and affirm. The most vital answer will be to the question, do you still love me as a worm? Imagine if that was an ailment and they had given an outfit like Heidi Klum on Halloween. We got the liquid look in our inventory. Any sim who consumes this elixir will feel a temporary boost in their look. And last but certainly not least, let's get Todd's last fable. Lie waiting. Upon a full moon at a werewolf's high noon, it's high noon. Emotions were stirring down under. A boy had just met a creature to pet, but but a greeting with Greg he did blunder. He went screaming away, telling neighbors that Stray had pierced the boy's skin with its teeth, but no marks were seen, the boy's skin was clean, and the story was swept underneath. Again and again, that sweet charlatan would spin tale after tale about Greg. Now just wait and see, for his ultimate plea was that Greg had consumed his whole leg. Deliver or consume an item. We get the holistic cure, small critter bones, which is just another inner screen ingredients, and the end of the fable. Craft balanced mind elixir. Sims with level 6 apothecary skill can craft the balanced mind using emotion potions and small critter bones. Deliver the items to the apothecary vendor. What? You expecting me to get to level 6 apothecary? I do not have the time for that. Oh, he's only selling Licky Liquid and enhanced eyes. I mean, to be fair, this is a tutorial, so I guess I'm just teaching you another way to go about this. But we are gonna do set.skill level major apothecary 6. Boom! We are now level 6 in the apothecary skill, and we probably can't even craft it because we need the things small critter bone, any positive emotion potion, and any negative emotion potion. Bro didn't even give us enough critter bones. That's so harsh, actually. Now this one is obviously probably going to take you the longest, considering you need to get your skill all the way up to a level 6. I know I cheated, but if you were getting that up, apothecary skill is actually quite slow to progress. But do keep in mind that all the tables already have like 1 small critter bones. I have managed to find another 2. I found that I had the best luck with this actually over in Everdew, which like small critters, you know, fairies, it kind of makes sense. Not that I want you thinking that these are like fairy bones, but they may be. But we can also hopefully go grab some off this. Oh, it's been collected too recently. Right, instead, let's go bottle the Springs emotion. If I hadn't drank and given away like 2 of my emotion potions, I probably would have had this by now. We got a scared. I'm gonna assume that's classed as the 1 negative that we need. Luckily, I also got the fairy power, which means that I can bottle my own emotion and the emotion of other Sims. Again, these are all probably going to be slightly more difficult if you aren't a fairy who has fairy abilities. If you are a human sim, I think the only way is to get it through either the Moondrop Springs, which you can only do once every 12 hours, or through the Moody Shrubs, which again, they do have a pretty big cooldown on them. Let's collect those bottle emotions off this Moody Shrub. We got 1 tense, 1 playful, 1 energize. That is plenty for what we need to make, which is balanced mind. And now we can go deliver that item to Todd. Friendly stories, deliver the balanced mind elixir, and then we are done with fables. Of course you can see that below the boy's knee was his leg, which was perfectly fine, and the neighbors of Mill were no longer so chill with the boy's constant need to malign. Then there's Greg, who's fed up with his pestering pup who had bothered him all day and night. So when the boy came, there was no more shame. Greg decided to go for a bite. The boy sure did yelp and he sprinted for help, but nobody came to the scene. I guess you could say the boy got his way because now he had proof Greg was mean. I like how they've tied the boy who cries wolf to Greg. And we got the holistic cure and small. Great, now we get small critter bones. Thank you for replenishing it when I don't need it now. This elixir is all powerful. It will remove most negative moodlets, any ailment, and fully restore a sim's needs and balance. Can only be consumed every 24 hours. We're actually gonna eat that, get rid of this ailment that we have. If we go to our notebook, Enchanted by Nature, we have every single single fable within the game, which there are 10 in total. Again, you can repeat these as many times as you want if you want like certain rewards, or you can always just come to your notebook to be reminded of the story and the lore of these fables. I hope this video was helpful. I hope those of you who may have been struggling with the fables or just wanted to know a little bit more about the fables got what you needed from this. Let me know which is your favorite fable. Is there anything you think they could have played on a little bit more when it comes to these fables? I do kind of wish that we got better rewards for these, especially for the time that they take. I've been recording this video for like almost 2 hours, and I even cheated a couple of things, so they would definitely take longer for that, and I do feel like the rewards could be a little bit better in my personal opinion, but I would love to hear all of your thoughts about these fables. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you all in my next one, which, by the way, if there's anything else like in any other pack that you maybe want me to do like a tutorial on, a walkthrough, a playthrough of, let me know, because these are genuinely some of my favorite videos to create for you lot, so I can definitely do more if you want me to. I appreciate you so much, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.